Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 11 of Import Nights, the review series for GranTurismo's selection of hugely popular high-performance JDM performance cars, the majority of which are coupes, with a few exceptions, but by far the vast majority of them are two-door, generally four-seater, but sometimes two-seater vehicles. And in this particular pick, we're featuring a car which has not necessarily as big a following as some other JDM cars, such as the Supra or the Skyline, but has a very vocal and very supportive fan base. People who love this car really do love it. And the car is, of course, the Honda Prelude, or Prelude, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Now, this car is available in a few different forms on the game. We've gone for essentially the highest version that you can get on the game. They have slightly different specs depending on the model, but the version which we've gone for is the SiR S-Spec model. And this particular model is a good looking car, straight off the bat. It's a moderately sized vehicle, not overly large, not overly small, and the engine, which is a VTEC of course, being a Honda performance vehicle, is a 2.2 litre. You can turbocharge that engine up to 428 horsepower, so not necessarily among the highest of the series, but a decent enough amount. As far as torque, it puts out 281 foot-pounds, and perhaps one of the most surprising things about this car is actually the weight, because the vehicle is of course a four-seater. As we said, it's moderately sized, and it doesn't look like a particularly lightweight vehicle. In fact, visually you'd probably expect it to be a little bit heavier than most other Hondas. And although it is certainly heavier than some, the weight on this car, especially with the full weight loss package, is remarkably low. This car only weighs 1,039 kilos, which is seriously respectable. Now, that is partially due to the fact that it is front-wheel drive, which of course eliminates a lot of the mechanicals that a rear-wheel drive version or even all-wheel drive version would require. Now, as far as pure performance, the car's pretty good, especially for its power. The acceleration off the line, being a front-wheel drive car, isn't necessarily the best, but the top speed is very good. It can do around 210, 215 miles per hour under its own power, which for said power is not bad at all. And the handling, although not necessarily as good as an Integra, is very good. The handling's certainly good enough to compete against other similar sized coupes, not just front wheel drive ones, but rear wheel drive or all wheel drive ones alike. And although it doesn't have the most power to work with, like most Hondas on the game, what it does with the power that it does have to work with is impressive. It's a faster car than you'd probably assume it would be. Now, in terms of track potential, I don't personally see a huge amount of people using this car. I'm sure there are people who do, and the maximum PP is a reasonable, actually, not overly high, 514. Now, at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily recommend racing it at that level on a wide variety of tracks, because you're quite simply not going to always win due to the front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive is excellent under the right circumstances, but with certain disadvantages to go along with that. And with the full power going through what is the majority of the time probably not going to be the most ideal of tyres, it's just categorically not the fastest of choices for all tracks. For certain circumstances though, at certain PP levels, it is a strong choice to go for, especially if you are running sports coupes exclusively against each other. It is a strong choice to go for, especially in slightly, not ultra low PP, but slightly lower PP levels, say 500 or less, maybe 475 or even 450. Overall, this car, which costs just under 23 grand, which is very well priced and highly affordable, and also puts out 412 horsepower per tonne incidentally, predominantly thanks to that ultra low weight, is a choice of car which is certainly, I would say, more of a specialist vehicle. It's more specifically useful to fans of the car, whereas other vehicles tend to be better for a broader audience. There are some cars that you don't necessarily need to like them to work well with them. other cars tend to be more for the fans, and this, at least to me, feels more like one of those vehicles. A car which isn't necessarily the best, but if you're a fan of it, you will probably find yourself using it quite often. Because although obviously it's not the fastest thing in the game, it is very good, especially for 23 grand. But that's it overall for this particular review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.